Sorry for the little confusion. Now, namaste and good morning to.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So, basically now I'm switching to prose after music. And I was told that there is a meditation room right beside. So, if you get stressed, you can make use of it. Now, yeah, you can see the pointer, yeah. So, our director, founder director, who is no more, we lost him just 1 month ago. And he was not only a great pharmacologist, physician, and he had great knowledge of Ayurveda also. So he thought that we should have, after retiring as SIBA Gigi Regional Director for Asia Pacific region, he established our center. And some of us who are interested in both have joined. And we have a multidisciplinary team. So the title is Reverse Pharmacology for Medicinal Plants, as illustrated by 2 examples I'll try to give. And that is Nuntan Nabar, who is my colleague. She is a co-author. Next slide, please. Basically, I will not go into great details, but I want to just emphasize we started at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan under the Ancient Insights and Modern Discoveries project. And then we were there, we were attached to Mumbai University. Actually, I joined it only in 1995 after retiring from the ICMR. And then we have received various recognitions. Currently, we are recognized for PhD in Transdisciplinary University and SNTT University. And we are recognized as an ICMR Product Development Center. We have from 2022, the summer internship program for Maharashtra University of Medical Sciences for undergraduates. They come to our center. From homeopathy, Ayurveda or MBBS. You can't hear? Are you able to hear me? Yeah, so that's fine, yeah. So, Ayurvedic products can be developed in various ways. Now, I'm not emphasizing the integrated part because we have other projects not related to medicinal plants or not related to Ayurveda also. But today I'm not going to emphasize on that. And for Ayurvedic, he has established these various modalities, out of which reverse pharmacology is the one that I'm going to emphasize today, where a single medicinal plant standardized for at least 4 biomarkers. And this is for the first time it has happened in India, that the Director General of Drugs of India can give an approval for a plant drug. Otherwise, they were getting as herbal drugs. So that was the other method. But this is with an indication that we define. So our director was responsible in a large way to get this recognition. And we are now working on the first phytopharmaceutical to be tried in phase 3 clinical trial in a multicentric study.
Why would they distinguish between plant and herbal?
No, plants and herbal are same. Herbal seems to be a little more lay type of term. Medicinal plants means medicinal plants. Herbal is probably more towards the traditional and ethnic group. But that, if it is proven well, and there are gray areas between, so I wouldn't be able to answer everything. And I would rather you have the questions at the end. Otherwise, I will not, or I will take the last slides first if you wish. That can also be done. I know there will be so many questions because we are using medical terms. And actually, when he gave the talk in Mumbai, I couldn't understand a lot of the Sanskrit things, and I don't myself understand much of Vedas or of Sanskrit also. Next slide, please. So, this is the definition of reverse pharmacology. It is the science of integrating documented clinical experiential hits by transdisciplinary exploratory studies and further developing into drug candidates by experimental and clinical research. So we have an experiential review. We can conduct exploratory clinical trials or preclinical trials, and then experimental clinical trials, some pharmacoepidemiology studies, and we can study drug interactions also under this. We have a multidisciplinary team, and we have evaluated various, we have studied in various areas. And basically we study a product under multiple levels of biological organization. That is, in the human beings we can study various organs, or we can study in different species or in vitro models. Next slide, please. We have a small core staff, and then the other staff is all project based. We have few but very good laboratories, and we have a documentation center. Training programs and workshops are there. Clinical projects are approved by the ethics committees, and we collaborate a lot within Mumbai and outside Mumbai also. Next slide, please. These are some of the current major projects. I won't go into the details, and I will give you two examples. That is Panchavalkal for white discharge, which is a very common complaint. Almost 75% of women have suffered from white discharge in their lifetime. And Haridra or turmeric for the regression of low-grade cervical precancer. Currently, we have this trial is just started recently. We are doing it in collaboration with KEM, that is Tinospora cordifolia, or Amruta, as it is known, or Guduchi. And no, actually, this is with Actrec. This is this is the Picrolive or Kutki. This is the multicentric trial that is with the ICMR. And this we are studying with Tata Research Center, that is the Actrec. We have a good in vitro lab also, and 2D and 3D culture models also are being studied recently. Next. So before we go to the plant extract proper, I thought, because most of the audience is non-medical, to give a little bit idea about the problem that we thought of studying. I was in the ICMR, and we had studied a lot on cancer, cervical cancer. This is the cervix. There is a uterine cancer, endometrial also, which is not so common. And then infections, and we had studied in women. And we found that at that time it was very common actually. But even the recent survey shows 9 to 12% of women, young women, suffer from it. And it has consequences for the whole family. If a woman does conceive with the infection, then the child can have problems. She can also have infection. If the infection ascends, there can be severe complications. And if there is a viral infection, all of you must have heard of the HPV vaccine being approved by the government now. So there are cancer-causing HPVs and non-cancer-causing HPVs. So the high-risk HPV infections, if they are there, then there is a very high risk of developing cervical cancer. Now, the infections can be acquired from the brain, lungs, or any other place in the body itself. It could be sexually transmitted, which can be again transmitted to the baby, or there endogenous vaginal, all of you might be aware that our body is made up of more cells from the microbials than the actual human cells. And all the linings are lined, all the lumina contain a lot of microbiota. And then rarely they can be because of procedures. If there's no time to treat infection before conducting a surgery, as in case of severe bleeding, it may be transmitted. So it is a major problem. This is Global Burden of Diseases. Lancet also has published global data. Next. So we had experience on, this is pre-cancer, cancer. Anyone can notice these gross changes. Now we have to practice for many years and look into the details before we are able to identify the intermediate and previous cases also. This is a different type of cancers. And this is infection, so if it is unsatisfactory, we have to repeat or treat infection and repeat. This is only, needs always to be confirmed by colposcopy, which is an endoscopic view of the cervix, or HPV PCR. Next slide. So we had shown this earlier, and we had confirmed the presence of these infections, and these infections also can be detected in a pap smear, apart from diagnosing the cancer. Next. So when I joined this place, Dr. Ranjan Bhatt, who was a microbiologist, she had also joined, and she had studied Panchavalkal in vitro. And she had referred to the original shlokas, and after I joined, since I wanted to work on it, I also went through those, and there is a good description. But the basic problem was that there were no clinical studies. She had studied only in the petri dishes. There is description of an modified Panchavalkal also, where you can use another plant, and where also, which has also been referred to in the Ayurvedic text. Next slide, please. So here in the Kayyadeva Nighuntu, it was mentioned that you can use Shirish or Vetas instead of Kapita. So that she had tried, and she had already shown it's very useful. So we referred to all that work. There were 2 PhD students under her, and 2 of mine had worked on infections or diagnosis. So first of all, we always want to see whether what's written is true or not. So we conducted a study in Ayurveda Medical Hospital, that is Sayan Ayurveda Hospital, to find out whether the way it was described, that is the Quath, whether it is effective or not. And the women had to come to the hospital every day, and it was given for 14 days. Next slide, please. And we used objective method. Now, there had been theses earlier on Panchavalkal in the healing of infections and erosions or ulcers. But they had used only subjective criteria, like is it increased or decreased? That is all that they recorded. They did not exclude any cancer, they did not exclude any HIV or severe infections like gonorrhea or other. So we did all those. We used laboratory grade pH, and here you can see a polymicrobial infection. These are the branching candida, and this is the colposcopic demonstration of healing. So next, you can see that the pH has reduced in most cases, whereas it has increased in a few cases. Now that is what the Ayurvedic MDs had not reported really. They only reported it has improved in so many cases, but in how many cases it increased also. And not only that, we had a control group in our next study. So you can see that there is a remarkable change with the kvath only, the way it is described. It was prepared as in Ayurvedic texts. Next slide. So we prepared a gel. Now, instead of a kvath, the kvath has to be prepared every day in the hospital, and the woman has to come every day in the morning and take it. Not a very simple procedure by any means. So a gel which is produced by a reputed pharmaceutical company and very well standardized, has a better shelf life. She can take it at home and use it also. So that way this gel was prepared. And we had a control group also which was treated by standard allopathic treatment, that is the syndromic treatment for this kind of symptomatology in the woman. The other difference between all other studies and our study was that we were asking the husband also to join. We explained to him, the informed consent was taken from both, and both of them were treated. This part was not taken care of by any of the previous studies. So we treated both because there shouldn't be any reinfections. Otherwise one wouldn't get the results, and that is why we got good results which were almost similar to the allopathic treatment. So it was really impressing. I myself was really very much impressed by the effect of Panchavalkal. And in one or two cases it healed even if the woman had received full allopathic treatment, persistent also. But we couldn't do a larger series at that time. So this is from the gel. When you score it properly, and you can see a significant reduction. And because it is a new formulation according to the drug rules, CCRAS rules also, we have to have some preclinical studies, minimum. Now what is important about reverse pharmacology is that any other new chemical entity that comes has to undergo a wide range of in vitro and in vivo animal preclinical testing, including sometimes testing in rhesus monkeys or dogs, whereas these medicines have traditionally been used in India for centuries. So the majority of them which are being used currently and used by thousands of physicians, they don't need a lot of preclinical testing. So this becomes a faster way of new drug development also, with definite indications. And we also studied the other functions in the body, because sometimes people claim that these plant products might produce some side effects. Even for Kutaki, there have been some reports that it can produce some liver damage and things like that. So now the plant, one has to identify the correct plant. If you take a wrong similar looking plant and use, and that has been shown. So you have to be careful now there are special Ayurvedic farms. So they don't allow contamination with other species. Then, so we have to be, at our center, we are very careful with the standardization of the drugs. So with treatment with gel also, Panchavalkal, it was standardized by other methods also. I mean, apart from the heavy metals and all those microbial tests. Next slide. These are the publications. This monograph is also available on CCRS website. Apart from using it for vaginal discharge, Panchavalkal is also being marketed by Ayurvedic pharmaceuticals, and it is being used for healing of ulcers, diabetic foot ulcers. So it is used extensively by the Ayurvedic physicians. And the important thing is that it doesn't give rise to antimicrobial resistance as modern antibiotics. That study also has been done. So that was, we summarized it. Someone else has carried out that study. a microbiologist. Next slide. Now this is coming to the second condition, that is the turmeric or haridra extract that we used. For cervical cancer, you might wonder if the vaccine is available, where is the need to cause regression of any changes. But please remember, vaccine is available now. The effects of vaccine will be seen after another 5-10 years when these girls become older. Already many thousands of women are already HPV, and you would be surprised that in other countries where vaccine is available and extensively women are screened. Now it is possible by screening to detect precancerous changes, which we were able to do early, even when I joined this place. And we can treat those, but the treatment is all surgical. Whereas here we have shown a non-invasive treatment, but it will be integrative. We must treat the associated infection that is there. So it is sadly, in India, not only is the cancer very common, but the mortality is also very high, because most women come in late stages. Next slide. If you look at natural history of cancer, many solid cancers particularly, not the leukemias and the blood cancers, will have a normal, from normal to cancer, there is a long precancerous stage. And sometimes it is possible to reverse this. Mostly earlier they were using surgical, whereas chemoprophylaxis or non-invasive treatment is being studied. And for cervical cancer also it was studied, but not very successfully. So we already had the experience at this center for oral submucous fibrosis. One of the other colleagues, Dr. Bhide, had shown regression with turmeric oil extract. And these are the Ayurvedic references, which I was absolutely thrilled to see that there is really a reference of the Ayurvedic Taila also. Because I was not prepared to say, accept. We didn't want to leave the Ayurvedic totally, not like a herbal or a new plant product, but Ayurveda has a lot of scientific basis. So it was shown over here particularly for oral, but they have described, of course, for cancer, not for pre-cancer. So at this center, there was this experience, and I was involved in this study of turmeric oil in healthy human volunteer studies. Those who did not have oral submucous fibrosis also, we showed organ function tests were normal before and remained normal after 3 months of use. So that is why I thought, why not use it for cervical precancer also. Next slide. So this was a supercritical extract. So the pesticide and all those contaminations don't come in at all, because it is not the conventionally prepared extract. And a number of preclinical studies were also done, including another safety study in human volunteers, because it is a new type of formulation. And this is an experimental study done in collaboration with Actrec at Tata. And then we undertook the clinical study in women. And we had advised them to come for follow-up. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have a full budget, so we didn't have a social worker. So the follow-up we could not keep, but till the 12 weeks at least we could follow up. And then subsequently we were lucky to get some follow-ups on our own. Next slide. So this is the way the trial was conducted. We first treated with antimicrobials. Now this Ayurvedic I would never give unless the associate, because we know from many studies that in the presence of inflammation itself is a co-carcinogen. And so first we treated both the husband as well as the wife with the treatment that is acceptable by the national guidelines for syndromic treatment. And then those which showed persistent low-grade changes in the cervical pap smear, those which agreed to come for all these follow-ups. So those were given the capsule twice daily, and we repeated first after 4 weeks just to make sure that it's not becoming. Yeah, this is the second study. I'm glad I've reached the second study at least, otherwise I was not sure. And we did a 6-monthly post-treatment follow-up we could achieve for a few women. Next slide, please. So we had to screen so many women, and then there were low grade was 6.5%. The high grade were referred because most of them some of them didn't want to take any risk also. So they went for hysterectomy or went to another hospital. And there was 0.6% had cancer, so naturally we referred them for treatment. Now 21 with persistent low-grade changes participated. Out of them, 3 remained persistent but did not progress, and 16 actually regressed within 4 weeks only. We also did serum cytokine levels, that is interleukin 6. These are certain biochemical markers of early carcinogenesis or inflammation. And we showed that this was also reduced after treatment. And after the project was completed, we didn't have any grant, but we could still follow up 18 women up to 3 years, and out of them, only 3 which were arrested over here, they remained persistent. And then the others had all remained in a lesser stage, just mild changes. These changes finished, time is over. Yeah, because they told me 5 minutes, yeah. Okay. Next. We had, next slide please. These were in vitro studies that we had carried out. Next slide. This was the second study where we had a holistic extract where we added curcumin as well as turmeric oil and polysaccharides, because there were studies which said that the holistic extract might work better. So here we got better results and within 10 weeks only. So this recent summary of all these studies has been published recently. Those who are interested in reverse pharmacology can read. So next slide, that's I think the last slide, yeah. So I've tried to explain a little bit of reverse pharmacology with the 2 plant formulations. This is our team. This is Sir Ashok Vaidya, whom we lost. This is Dr. Rama Vaidya, who is also a gynecologist and endocrinologist. This is Dr. Nutan Nabar, who has come with me. Dr. Ashwin Raut. Many of them are there. I won't take much of time. And this is our team at Sayan Ayurved Gynecology Center. So thanks for their hospitality. Next slide, please. Yeah. May the Jnana Ganga of BKS flow forever with its multicolored facets.